So what can it be? What do you guys want to start talking about?
Let me wait till one of the cameras starts going. Oh, okay. So I saw Crazy Rich Asians last weekend.
Did you?
Yeah.
So did I.
Did you? I have yet to see it. Haven't seen it yet.
It made me hate myself.
Really?
Yeah.
Like you're not Asian?
That. Well, I mean, the movie it definitely sets you up for the stereotype of what it's like to be Asian. If you know what I'm saying.
Right,
You got
right.
that Singapore money, but it was pretty cool. You know, the representation, I guess.
How'd you like it as a movie, as a whole?
You know what? I usually hate that sort of chick flick style of movies, you know, but it didn't come off too chick flicky.
Oh, really?
And
well, it's a comedy, right? It's not
Romantic comedy.
it's a romantic comedy. There we go. You know, I always conflate chick flicks with the romantic style of comedy, but it was cool. You know, I enjoyed it. I probably won't. I mean, I wouldn't
buy it.
want to. Yeah, like I wouldn't buy it or anything like that and tell anybody, but it was cool.
No, the excuse is for my girlfriend.
I mean, they're the only ones who could drag you there to see it, right?
I went with my brother.
Who'd you go with? Did you go to Europe?
Say again.
Who'd you go with? Oh, by yourself.
Who are you?
I don't know. It's for me. I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it. Damn.
I gotta figure it out.
I enjoyed it more from like the Asian representation standpoint of it.
And it
Like,
did a good job. It wasn't like too
yeah,
stereotypical.
I mean, I
It wasn't-
enjoyed the, because you know within like Asian culture, just Asians in general, you have different kinds of Asians,
Yeah.
right? And Asians have so many different personalities. Like you have some that are very shy and reserved. You have ones that are more outgoing, and then you talk about the things that they're into, right? Like the stereotype is like school and studying and things like that. But you have some that are like awesome at like dancing,
Right.
sports. There's just a bunch of like different kinds of breakdowns with them. And I think when you're talking about like the culture in general, it's kind of like the same too, where there's just like different facets of it. I thought the movie did a pretty good job at sort of conveying or portraying that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, there's a chick in there who had was it a pink Audi R8?
Yeah,
It was like a matte pink
Yeah.
Audi R8, and I thought that was pretty sick.
yeah.
with the eyelashes.
No,
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 it,
no, no.
no, it didn't have those stupid eyelashes
Yeah, no.
that I see these hood rats driving around our area sometimes.
Oh yeah, we see a lot of that.
Yeah.
Speaking of cars, you
Yes.
know, because obviously we're all some car guys here. What cars do you think actually get the girls? And what I mean is this, you know.
I know the answer to this question.
Well, what I mean is that
I know it.
is that for girls who aren't into cars, everything is kind of the same to them. Like, oh, it's loud, oh, it's fast, who cares? But what car do you think girls actually like to see a guy in? Because I feel like
Wait,
you know,
like to see a guy in,
like
or
to see
like
a guy in, maybe.
like for themselves?
Okay, so we could do both. How about that? You know, so what kind of car would the typical? Well, I don't want to say typical because people are about to think I'm a chauvinist or something like that, which I'm not. But okay, so what I mean is that, you know, it's very easy to judge a guy in a Lamborghini and think he's a douchebag, and then that guy, he'll probably think that like, oh, I have a Lamborghini, I'm about to get a ton of girls. No, you're about to attract a lot of dudes because you have a Lamborghini. Girls, they don't care, but there are some cars that will attract girls. So what do you think that those cars are?
I'm gonna tell you from personal experience. My
douchebag.
experience. What?
Huh?
No.
We already heard Jordan's experience.
Yeah.
No. Okay. So like, I mean, coming from being a car enthusiast and being involved in the community and being around like all these cool cars and things like that. Now, of course, naturally, you're gonna modify your own vehicle and things like that. And you think, well, maybe not necessarily think, but the perception is if you drive a really cool modified car, you're gonna get the attention from like all these girls or wherever you pull up because you're cool, right? That is absolutely 100% not the case.
Yeah.
To Jordan's point, like you attract dudes because they're like, bro, sick car, man. Like, what modification did you do? What kit is that? What wheel? What exhaust? Like, that's all you get, right? And so throughout my experience for the last few years in modifying cars and driving around, things like that, that's what I've seen. However, there is one car that I've rolled, and without a doubt, usually any place that I go, I get a few comments from females just complimenting the car. The G-Wagon. The G-Wagon, 100%, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's like the girl's like, I don't know, dream car or like when they grow up because it looks, you know, very unique. I don't know if you want to call it iconic in a way, but it's just nothing really like that on the road.
Yeah.
And it helps too that the Kardashians kind of made it.
Well, did they?
I think so.
Really?
At least to my knowledge. They were rolling the G-Wagon pretty early on.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the one car that I've driven, and everywhere that I take. I've had a girl bust a U-turn before to pull up next to me and say, I just had to come up and tell you that I love your car. I was like, cool. You kind of freaked me out a little bit, but, you know, it's all good.
Make it, was she hot?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No.
I always have to ask that. Okay, what do you think, Mike?
Well, I haven't been in that game for a while,
Yeah.
so I couldn't.
I heard chicks dig trucks.
It depends on where you're at, I guess. I mean, yeah, of course, it's going to depend on what, you know, the kind of girls that are into different things, right? So, I mean, it's kind of a loaded question. You know, you don't want to piss off any of the girls that are watching this.
Okay, let me break it
so.
down. Let me break it down then. I think you have two groups of females then. You have those that maybe not really, they don't really know that much about it, but they just know that like this particular one is like, I don't know, the one that really catches their eye, and they just like how it looks and things like that. They could care less about the performance aspect of it, whatever. They just like the status of it and whatever. And then you have girls that might have some knowledge, like they might know like roughly.
Well, so now you're talking about girls who are into the car stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of different from what Jordan's asking.
You're layman, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's not like this is the car I'm going to drive because I want to meet a girl tonight. No, unless you're going to a car show and there's a girl there who's into cars, and you know, they'll probably approach you.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they're not just going to be looking like, hey, and then drop their, you know. So, anyways,
That never happens.
exactly. So you know what I mean? It's more. You're talking about the girl who knows about vehicles, who knows car culture, maybe knows about custom.
Not thoroughly, no.
I mean, because like you know, there's girls out there who know that kind of stuff and are, you know, willing to talk to people and to guys about what they have because they're familiar with it. They know the ins and outs of the vehicle.
I'm just talking straight attention getter.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
So like, and that's kind of where I was heading with it. Was like you might have like this one particular girl that sees use the G-Wagon as an example again. See the G-Wagon and might not know anything else. She just knows that's a status car and like, wow, I like that car. And then a 5.0 Mustang rolls on by and she doesn't really care, right? But you'll have another girl that like kind of knows. I don't know what it is exactly. The whole phrase that I just gave, like chicks dig trucks. Like there's something about trucks that they like.
they like to feel big.
See, I don't know. I
Yeah.
really don't. But it's like they like it for some reason. They maybe because it's like what it's big, it's manly. I don't know. But like the same perception, I've come across a few that are like really into Mustangs. And anything else higher that usually drives by that's like super classy, they don't really pay attention to. But when a 5.0 rolls by, they're like, oh my, that gets my attention.
Man, those girls have a death wish.
A 5.0, a Camaro, a Challenger, it's like the muscle cars. You know, like, I don't know. It's pretty, I don't know. That's what I mean by like you have this little divide, at least from what I've seen. I don't know why it is, but it's very interesting. The tuner cars, I don't know. Switch sucks because I'm all about the tuner cars.
I think that a car that could attract for girls is the Jaguar F Type. I think a lot of chicks are into that car because like, you know, it's like that perfect, well, borderline of like, you know, I'm a dude and I still look cool in it, but also I feel like you know, they could be in it too, and I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think that if you pulled up in a Jaguar F Type, that you could pull a few. You know, I feel like they like that one. I don't know. I wouldn't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know anything about girls.
I say Honda Civic.
Speaking of Mustangs, so for those of you who don't know, I'm actually in the market to buy a new car pretty soon. And you know, my mom knows that I'm kind of into Mustangs a little bit, and so every now and then she'll send me a screenshot of like stuff on Car Gurus or True Car of like prices and stuff. And the other day she sent me a screenshot of a Mustang, for sale. And so I click on it, and she sends me the V6 Mustang. Mm-hmm. I blocked my mom after for about a day. I'm like, how dare you send me a V6 Mustang? You know, if it's an American muscle car, it should not be in anything but a V8. Mm-hmm. That's just my personal opinion. Call me a jerk, but that's just how I see it. Well, anyways, so
how'd she react to it? That you blocked her?
She doesn't know. She has a Droid anyway, okay. so who cares?
What about the new Ford GT?
New Ford GT?
It's not a V8.
That's different. That's a league in and of itself. You know,
but it has a heritage of.
That is true. However, the thing about the thing about the GT is that. We talked about this too, of that it's somewhere in between a muscle car, but it's also a supercar at the same time. You know, so it's very hard to classify.
I see it as a true muscle car.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I see it more as a race car built for the street.
Yeah.
I don't really look at it as a muscle car, even though it does have heritage in that that the lineage of it is sorta in the muscle car realm. I mean, it's all been through race, right?
Yeah.
The Ford GT originally is that
Le Mans, actually, that 24-hour race.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if I consider it really that's just me though.
Yeah, so that's the only exception for a V6 muscle car. You know, it's like I see those V6 Challengers. You know, it kind of makes me throw up in my mouth a little bit.
Yeah, I hear you. I agree.
Well, so guys, we made it to episode 5.
Yep.
Mike, how you doing? Daryl, how you doing?
Good.
Great.
Okay, I'm Jordan.
Mike here.
Yeah.
Daryl.
Well, Brian told me that we have to start to introduce ourselves more often because the people who are listening have no idea who we are yet.
Oh, I'm Jordan.
Anyways, so I got some fun topics for us to talk about today. So for a hard one, how about if we start here? What cars would you guys say are some of the most underrated cars and deserving of more hype? If you could name maybe 2 or 3 off the top of your head and say why.
I only got one.
Which one?
The Honda Civic. Why? Because Jordan thinks it's underrated and it deserves more attention.
Because I think it's underrated?
Yeah.
Just to piss me off. Not for real, though.
I don't know. I think my viewpoint on it is just people approach it a little bit differently now because you have a lot of divide, I think, between new generation people getting into the automotive culture, and you also have the people that have been into it for quite some time that know like history and heritage of certain cars and things like that. So I was like kind of joking, not really joking with the whole Civic thing. and like you kind of see it because for the period of time Honda stopped making sports cars. they went the whole economic, gas-saving, environment-friendly route.
They made a ton of money off that.
Yeah, but Honda as a company also has a history, a very nice racing history, and the last good sports car that they produced was the S2000. I know they had the Civic SIs, but that was just kind of like there. I don't know that it was really any. It was like their only sports car offering, I think.
It's kind of like I'm in high school and I have a sports car.
Yeah, like I wanted one when I was in high school, but like as far as like a really good driver's car that really lent itself to the driving experience and what that was all about, I think it was the S2000. Could be wrong.
I mean, before there was also the CRX, which was it was pretty strong in the race circuit in Japan. The Civics were also pretty strong,
Right.
of course, but they weren't. The Civic was more labeled as a sport compact car rather than a true sports car.
Yeah.
The CRX is somewhere in between, and then they had that Del Sol.
Del Sol.
Yeah, that's kind of like, I don't know where you'd call it. It's like almost a precursor to the S2000 almost. It was a 2-seater. It was a cool little car. It was a fun car. It was more like a California sun top down kind of car. I don't know. It was cool.
Yes, I mean for me, I think even when Honda took a little bit of a break from the sports car world, you look at now the reintroduction of bringing the Type R to the U.S. market, and it's got so much hype around it, and like the demand for that car, I'm sure is still very high. I'm starting to see more and more of them just cruising out in the streets and things like that. But that's really, I think, a nod to how well I think the Civic in general as a vehicle with all of its history has done over the years. And
Well,
there's
also
still
like
demand.
how popular the Civic has been like throughout the years. It was
Right.
one of the hottest selling cars, especially during my era when I was learning to drive. Everyone wanted a Civic. That was the car to get because it was affordable. It had good performance. Out of the box it was pretty good, but there's a lot of aftermarket that you can fix the car up and be a competitor in
For cheap,
street
too.
racing. Yeah, for a really good price. And talking about that it being underrated, I'm kind of thinking more underrepresented, like in the toy industry. There's a few diecast models of it out there, but I think it could be a lot stronger. Because of how popular it was back in the day.
Right.
And even now, though, the new Civics now are pretty strong. They look great. A lot of people are buying them. I think they're a really good offering from the Honda Corporation. The hardest thing, though, for us as toy makers is when we put out cars, when you put out a diecast, the new vehicles are harder to sell because people want to only buy their car. So if they have a blue Civic, they're only going to buy the blue Civic. Whereas the older Civics, because it's more nostalgic to them, they would more inclined to collect all the different colors, all the different colorways that we do with the different decos. Maybe it's a nostalgic one where it's a race car that we've seen in the past. Those kind of things you're more inclined to collect. But when it's a brand new car, people tend to just want to buy what looks like their car that they own.
Okay, I never looked at it that way before.
But yeah, I think the Civic is a good car, as far as underrated. But I'm thinking of it as not necessarily underrated, but underrepresented in the toy world.
Okay. Well, I mean, speaking of that, I think that we're planning to fix that problem.
A
pretty
little
soon.
bit, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
What?
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
I think that maybe an underrated car. It's pretty new, and I might sound a little biased towards it because it's actually the car I'm planning to buy. I really love the 2017 Infiniti Q60, particularly the Red Sport version. I feel like with that car, it is the best way for you to get 400 plus horsepower while also for looking super elegant and not having to go broke while doing it at
Right.
the same time. It's a very refined car. It's sporty. It's super elegant, and it's pretty fast, but you can mod it easily. But I don't have to spend $70,000 to get to get that much.
Yeah, it's a nice looking car. It's a beautiful car.
Yeah, I wish I had a Patreon so I could, or a GoFundMe account.
Do you guys think Z cars are underrated?
Well, underrated.
Yeah.
I feel
In today's day and age.
I definitely
you're
feel
talking
like
about the
they're
new ones?
overrepresented. Well, that's for sure.
Sure.
Everybody
but
has.
I think, and I asked the question because of the modern society that we live in now, where everything's going turbo. A lot of the engines that are being put into some of these newer models are more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you look at like the platform, like the Z370 is the latest one. They haven't refreshed it in however many years. It's by today's standards, it's old, it's outdated.
Yeah.
But the Z, like the Civic, also has a pretty long lineage. It comes from a pretty long lineage of great driving sports cars. I think when you talk about like the classic JDMs, I think the Z would have to be up there.
I think doesn't the Z have their 50th anniversary
It's
coming
coming
up?
up.
Yeah. The Z car it has a lot of heritage. I don't necessarily think it's underrated.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking back at like the Z cars that we've had in our line are typically one of the higher selling models that we have.
I'm coming from it from the perspective of like if you were to shop around for a sports car today, like a true genuine sports car, I don't think that the Z would be like at the top or maybe top 3 of people's lists.
But but you think it should be though.
I don't know. It really depends, like what you're after. I think what the Z does deliver on that most people don't take into consideration is the driving experience. But if you're after like power and you're going to talk about practicality of like if you're one of those people that says I need 2 cup holders and space and then
tear that stuff out.
Yeah. But if not, if you just want something fun, you don't care necessarily about anything else, I think the Z would be up there.
Yeah, I agree. I think my most underrated vehicle that I can think of, I want to say it's a Fox body Mustang. Those are like, when you think Mustang, you either think the classic or the late model stuff.
Yeah.
That's Fox body is typically forgotten about because it's so square, it's so like 80s. I mean, it looks dated, but at the same time, it's a pretty darn cool car. I mean, isn't that where the term 5.0 came from? Like or 5.0 when you refer to police officers, or I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think that is one of the coolest Mustangs. Besides like the super classic 65s or whatever. But yeah, I think the Fox body Mustang is one of the ones that are totally underrated.
Yeah, I saw one about a month ago. I went to to this car event I'm at the Angel Stadium. There was a guy who had one, and I was like, "Well, that's a Mustang."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like as far as its shape and everything.
Yeah.
Well, that was like a total transformation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that one. Another one I think is kind of underrated, but I think that the reason why people underrate it in a shallow sense without actually having experienced it is the 2018 Ford Raptor.
Hey.
But I feel like a lot of people it's definitely a respected car, but I don't think that people really understand it until they sit in it. I know that that was the case for me, especially because it's a V6, but it's also a truck at the same time, and people kind of think like, how does that work? But I know that you're satisfied with it.
Oh, I love it.
It's a beast.
Yeah, it's a beast of a car.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of speaking of engines, speaking of cars, blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that, the future is coming, and
Every second.
And that's the singer in this podcast.
you get me every single podcast. I watched all 4 of our podcasts the other day, and there's at least one time as to where I have to just back up and be like, God damn it, Mike.
We should just have like a compilation of every single one, and then just over time, just
after our year,
yeah.
then we'll compile and do some kind of flashback thing for the year celebration.
Yeah, we got to do something special for the end of the year.
That's all.
For our year podcast.
Yeah.
But you know, obviously things are changing in the car world. You know, we're starting to creep up in like the era of like automation and more electric cars. And you know, personally for me, I think electric cars, I think that some of them are pretty cool, but at the same time, I worry about, you know, 20 years, 30 years in the future, will I ever be able to feel the rumble of an engine again? Well, like, you know, will it even be available anymore? And that kind of scares me a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I've heard a lot of people say, you know, electric cars, they're fast as hell, but they don't have a soul.
Right. Yeah.
So, but do you guys think that electric cars lack a soul to them? And whatever that means to you?
Okay, so I've never really driven an electric car.
Mm-hmm.
The only time I've driven something that's electric was at like Dromo 1 or K1 or whatever, those go-kart places. Yeah. So I've driven both the gas powered and the electric, and yeah, the electric has torque. Yeah. It's instant speed, like right off the line, and you're like pushed back into your chair. But there is something about the fuel engines when you're driving those things that just kind of like you can feel the power. It's not like instant power. It's like you can feel it creep up. And now being able to go in and tune the car so you can make that faster, or you can make the acceleration faster. There's a lot of stuff about that. There's a lot of it. That little click totally threw off my. There's a lot of like, it just feels more like you're part of the car. You don't feel that connection with the car because you can't feel that rumble. You can't feel like when you press the gas pedal, you can't feel like the fuel going through the gas tank. It's just instant power. It's just instant. I don't know. It's just, yeah. I think there is a soul there, and there is something that a connection between the driver and the car when there is a fuel engine.
I agree. Do electric cars lack a soul? I think when you're talking Tesla, that's full electric, right? I would say yeah. Mm-hmm. But you have electric cars that are hybrid, to Mike's point, where they're mixed with gas engines, like some of the hypercars.
The Regera.
Yeah. The P1.
Yeah.
But overall, as a whole, I don't think that electric cars can ever truly, for a true car enthusiast, take the place of what having an actual rumble to the car. Yeah. You know, like everything about it, the driving experience when you're in a true sports car, like that visceral feeling when you're actually taking it through the canyons, the noise. Like, what's the main reason why people swap out their exhausts? Of course, there's some performance upgrade there. Not much. It doesn't move the needle that much. The noise. It adds to the whole character, personality of the car. And I think if I was given the choice, if you put like a Tesla P100D in front of me, fast as hell, right? 0 to 60 is like some ridiculous, like 2.3 seconds or something. If you put that in front of me and gave me the option to take that versus like, I don't know, any old school, any car that's got like a legit motor in it, like a sports car, I don't really care about that 0 to 60 time. I want that driving experience. I want the feeling that and excitement that it's able to give me. Mm-hmm. I don't want any of that artificial fake noise in the cabin.
My God.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
You know,
that's an abomination.
I don't want any of that. I just want the real deal. I want that experience.
That BMW, is it the
i8.
Yeah, like the i8 has that fake noise to it. I'm like, oh, why would you do that? It's gross. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure they have their reasons.
I love BMW. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you're talking like just driving leisurely around, I wouldn't mind the electric car. But when it comes to like something I want to tinker with, it's got to be your traditional fuel motor.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I'd rather get in the engine, get my hands dirty, get oil all over myself, than just tapping away on the keyboard to do the tune.
Yeah, well, interesting point.
Something about that old school feel.
Yeah, it's just like it's working with your hands. Like when you like furniture, you build your own furniture. You feel a little more like you accomplish something.
Yeah.
Rather than just getting something from a Home Depot or something from like IKEA or something that's pre-manufactured, and it's you put it together, but it just doesn't have that same quality that you would have. I mean, I'm not calling Tesla IKEA stuff, but I mean, and I don't mean to put it, compare the two, but when you get your hands dirty and are able to build something yourself and make it fast and it's all because of what you put into it, I think it's a lot more rewarding.
Yeah, it becomes yours. Like that tedious sweat makes you more attached to it. Yeah.
Yep.
I get that. Can you guys ever see us go making an electric car model in diecast?
Yeah, I don't see.
Oh, yeah, I don't see why not. I wouldn't say that it's out of the realm of possibility. I always thought where an electric car would fit pretty nicely is in our hyperchargers line.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That'd be
because
perfect. It's electric. It's a car.
Yeah. So for our hyperchargers radio control line, for those that don't know, the biggest selling point is that it features USB charging technology. Right.
Yeah.
And if you threw an electric car in there, like a Tesla, like a BMW i8, or whatever electric car, it kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So throwing a little turbo button in there, and then you have a little bit of fun. You can try and replicate what an electric car actually does off the line.
Well, so going back to electric versus fuel, and then kind of bringing RC into this. For a long time, I was into gas-powered RC cars, like the hobby grade ones, and it was fun. Like the smell of the fuel, being able to tinker with the motors and tuning them and doing all this stuff to them. I mean, there was a ton of people into it, and then for some reason the fuel became too expensive to still continue the hobby. So a lot of us dropped out of it. We tried to go to electric, but it just wasn't as fun as the gas powered one was. So a lot of people who were into the racing RC cars got out of it because if it wasn't fuel driven, it wasn't as fun as electric. So it's kind of I don't know if that has anything to do or kind of foretelling what it could be in the future, or the mentality of people going into all electric rather than with fuel. But yeah, none of us, not at least my group of friends, liked going into the RC, the electric RC stuff. You can tune it, there's gears still. It's just what it is. It's just a battery turning a motor that turns gears, right? So you can mess with the gears, but then you can't mess with your fuel ratios. You don't have your how hot you have your glow plug and all these different little things that help to tune your car. You're at that point, you're just messing with the gears if it's just electric.
There's less involvement in it.
I mean, you can buy different different like motors that turn faster or have more turns per second, but that's pretty much it.
Right.
You don't got a lot more you can do. So I think that soul was lost, and that's what lost a lot of the fans of racing RC cars.
Damn.
That just got really deep.
Yeah, it's.
I mean,
but yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think that there's ever going to, if I kind of let myself go into the future a little bit and you kind of foresee like where the industry is going as far as like environmental conservation and things like that, it does kind of worry me a little bit because as as a car enthusiast, you don't want to lose that connection. It's like the manual transmission.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
that's starting to disappear.
Right.
And that sucks. That honestly sucks, because luckily we still have some manufacturers today, or at least some cars from manufacturers, where they recognize the heritage behind certain cars, and they still have it as an option, you know. But eventually, you know, I can't say with certainty that it's going to continue to become the thing where manufacturers will keep putting the manual transmission in there. But just how efficient things have become in today's day and age. Porsche, for example, the GT3 with their PDK transmission is probably one of the industry best. Just how quick that thing shifts, and how much of a rock. You're talking about like an NA car that can pull a 0 to 60 at like 3 seconds, when you're comparing that to something that's strapped with a V8 twin turbo, and the GT3 will probably take it. And the transmission probably has a lot to do with it, you know, with, again, just inserting technology into it. But for me, I would still forego that, even if that means I'm like 1 second slower with a 6-speed or now 7-speed transmission, manual transmission. Because in the second generation GT3, Porsche has opted to provide a manual transmission.
Yeah.
Right? I kind of see it that way too, where if the fuel motor ever went away and we went all electric, and then the manual transmission dies out, oh my gosh, dude, I would be so sad.
I'd probably just start to ride a horse, to be honest.
One horsepower.
Just so I have a connection to something. To something real, you know. Oh, man. I hope it doesn't get to that point.
Yeah. So much of that plays a big part. And I think when you're talking about, you know, quote unquote soul characteristic of a car, that an electric can't really.
Have you seen electric races, like the hardcore electric car races?
Are we talking like, you know, like underground street
no,
races?
No.
Everybody has electric cars.
No, it's like the full on sanctions. Yeah, they're all electric cars, but it's like you know, like the Grand Prix or something, but it's all electric cars.
I've never seen it.
It's weird because you're watching and the commentators all, here he comes around the corner. And it's like, you know, you don't hear this rumble. Like that's one of the things I loved about going to like the Long Beach Grand Prix. When you're standing right there next to the track and you feel the cars coming down the street, you can feel it right in your core. And when they come by and they zoom, and then you could feel like just the sound of the cars.
They give you heart palpitations.
Yeah, it's that's where the excitement comes from. But when you see these electric cars come by, you don't even hear them. You just look right by. You just hear a little whine, and it's like, what? It's missing something. You know, there's something missing. It's really weird. You know, I'm not sure. It's gaining more popularity. It's gaining some traction. I don't know. I'm curious to see where that goes.
Yeah.
I think that we got to stop the future from happening. If anybody is a South Park fan, well, then they know what reference I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We're going to stop the future from happening.
I don't know. You know, like at the end of the day, I have a hope that these manufacturers do understand. Of course, they manufactured the cars. They created that heritage for the different cars. I don't see them foregoing it completely. And if they do take it into that direction of being a little bit more modernized and efficient, it'll be some sort of hybrid power. Mm-hmm. I love the GTR. Like that's the one car. It's no secret around the office. That's always been the one car that I've been drawn to. It's the car that got me into cars.
I think it got a lot of people into cars.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So when I hear rumors of the next generation GTR potentially being hybrid powered, I don't know how I feel about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I would rather have that than something full on electric.
Yeah.
Man. Could you imagine at a car meets having a two-step contest with just electric cars?
Yeah.
You're like, wait,
Yeah.
can't hear it. Oh,
I really think it is going to go all electric. All the manufacturers are going to be eventually all electric, and then for the gas powered, it's just going to be for enthusiasts with the old cars that are, you know, the classics.
Yeah.
They're eventually all.
It's going to skyrocket the classic prices
Yeah.
even more than what it is today.
You better
Yeah.
hang on to your modern cars, guys.
Yeah, well, that's what I think. That's what I think. I mean, hopefully it doesn't, you know. But the way the world is going with the, you know, with the environment and everything, that I think it's inevitable.
Possibly. I would agree.
To be honest, I'm perfectly okay with the human species ending a little bit faster as long as I can as long as I can drive a gas-powered car.
Jordan at yeah.
I'm not sorry for that statement at all. It is what it is.
But yeah, it's yeah, I think it's that's how it's going to go though. I think that's where it's going to end up. And you know, because it's technology, it just keeps going. It's you know, evolving faster and faster every year. You know, we're going to get to a point where it has to. We're just going to transition into just being electric vehicles.
Womp, womp, womp.
That's what I see, at least.
Well, for the next question,
Yeah.
well, here's a fun one to bring us back to happiness. So, what are 3 of our most favorite aftermarket body kit companies? 3 favorite models that those companies have created, and which ones would we love to work with in the future?
Damn. You want me to tackle this? Or do you want?
Yeah, go for it.
Well, Liberty Walk for sure.
Well, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
I got to throw that in there for me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna say that it's not, you know, it's not sick looking or that, you know, I wouldn't want to do it. I think that'd be really cool. For me, I think I have to throw just for personal reasons. Like, I'm a fan of what Vorsteiner does.
Hell yeah.
Vorsteiner is one of those companies where I feel less is more. I think when you're talking about modifying a vehicle to accentuate, you know, the characteristics of it that really come from the factory, to give it a little bit more of an aggressive flair, I think they're really good at what they do in terms of that. And they have different programs for, you know, your traditional regular sports cars, your everyday sports cars, and then they have their higher end aero programs for the supercars, and now they're starting to get into the off-road game, I think. And when you're looking at it at the end of the day, bringing it back to like some of our die-cast executions, that's kind of a similar blueprint of ours, where we'll kind of throw in little things here and there that really set the car off, whether that's the fitment, you know, or the body kit, things like that, like the little subtle things. So that's one. I mean, RWB.
That's my choice.
Right.
RWB has, because RWB they focus on Porsche. They do AE86 as well, or you know, their history in the past that's where he started, was fixing up the Toyota Trueno, and but yeah, RWB is just, to me, is like a perfect platform for us, or you know, a partnership to have with us, because you know, we're doing this kind of stuff already, and I think we do it well, and we can do them justice for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
RWB for sure would be my second choice. Just yeah, in no particular order really, but I would love to see a Jada execution RWB.
Yeah,
that's like, that would be.
Yeah, I think we can kill it.
Yeah.
My RWB would probably be my first. My second is not necessarily a body kit maker, but they doing things with cars that are super unique, and the style is just awesome. Would be a Ring Brothers. Those guys I think are just groundbreaking when it comes to their style, and their designs.
They
I would
push
love
the
to do that.
envelope, for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. I mean, the recoil that car that they did was one of my top at the SEMA show. 3 years ago was it?
3.
Yeah, you got to check it out. It was an awesome vehicle, but everything they do, it's amazing.
Yeah. My third one I have to throw in there just because this is a completely new game for me. I got it because I'm now in the truck game. I got to shout out Addictive Desert Designs, man.
Yeah.
Cause it's funny because it is new territory for me. So I've only really known modifying like Japanese and German vehicles. But even then, it's the same thing, right? Because when it's like, oh, let me lower it, let me throw a body kit on it, throw some wheels, exhaust, whatever. Now you're getting to a truck game, and you're talking about like, changing the front bumper so you have more clearance when you're off-roading. You're talking about, your various light bar setups, and do you want a winch or not, and the side steps and all these different things. But it has a very unique look. That would probably be my third. And we have a Just Trucks line that could be refreshed, and maybe we reintroduce a new off-road series. So
Damn, man. But your plugs are really good today. That's your second plug. I'm noticing.
what can I say, man?
Marketing.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Speaking of that, but you guys have some interesting, I'll leave it at that, interesting projects coming up involving trucks, right? So I'm looking forward to hear what people think about that. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It'll be.
Yeah.
It's fun. Of course, it's fun. Anytime you get to combine what you do with a passion of yours or a hobby of yours, that's the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I can't complain. I mean, being in this industry opens up a lot of doors for us, and we're able to do some fun things with things that we're into. Toys is, we're around toys like I always say. It's like every episode we say this. Like, we're working for toys. We can't, we're doing stuff we love, whether it's superhero movies or cars. It's we're surrounded by things that we're into, and that's the one thing about Jada Toys. We every one of us here are enthusiasts of what we make. And if we are able to, hopefully portray that in the products that we make, and it comes across to the consumer, I think it makes for a better product. And that's doing the things like fixing up our cars for shows helps us to keep that love for the industry and for what we're doing, because it's like we're just keeping it in practice.
Yeah. But you have a vested interest in it.
Yeah, exactly.
You also reap the fruits of your labor.
Yeah.
From the surface, it sounds like everything's cool, everything's dandy, and I'm glad that it can kind of come across that way, because in reality, if you dig below the surface, we still like to consider it fun. Just people don't really see too much of what goes on behind the scenes. Yes, I think being in this industry, the toy industry in particular, doing what we do with vehicles, with entertainment properties, it's inevitable that we form relationships with various people, various groups. And that's just the nature of any industry. You help me, I help you. You form a relationship, and that's all it is. You make these relationships, and pretty soon you have your whole network of people that you can kind of utilize and pull from. And again, to the whole point of being into cars and things like that, because we are in this industry of modifying, we're fortunate to be able to have these connections, to be able to maybe take advantage of doing something that we want to do, either with our personal car, whether that's a company car. It's all there.
What? We're doing a company car project?
What? Did I say that? Did I say that?
Watch out. Yeah. Watch out, guys.
Yeah. But, there's obviously a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, and these relationships take years to build. But through it all, I think when they see the end product of what Jada is able to produce for them, it eventually goes both ways. It balances itself out. It's very fair, and it's very fun. The entire process of getting to know somebody or a new company that you'd potentially be partnering with, working with them throughout the entire process, seeing it through to the end product. It's fun.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, one of the coolest things is working with these companies and seeing their excitement as we start producing their product on a toy. Because a lot of these companies that we work with, that's they have no idea of what goes into it, and sometimes their marketing doesn't even call for them doing a toy. But when we do finally partner up with them and we start making the product and they start seeing the results of our partnership, then it's really rewarding because they're like, man, this is really cool. I get to finally see our product on shelf, see what we've been working on, and now it's for marketing's sake, it's a way for them to reach a whole new audience.
Yes.
And I think it's a plus for them and it's a plus for us because now we have product on or accessories on our cars that people may recognize if they're into that genre of vehicle. So it's a win-win for both.
Yeah, especially when our partners start to exhibit that level of excitement or enthusiasm for something that we're developing for them or with them. That also helps us. Although we go into it with excitement and things like that, but you always want to take how can you take it one step further? I think, and when you're the people that you're working with kind of exhibit that same level or maybe even more, it's infectious energy throughout the entire process, and eventually gets it to where it needs to be.
Yeah, it's just a positive ecosystem overall.
Yeah. We want to be able to hit. We have high standards for ourselves. Our partners have high standards also, and so how can we work together to have the final finished product be an accurate representation or go above and beyond their expectations
and be the best it could be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Man, we got like kind of pretty deep in this. Pretty deep in this talk.
Yeah. Yep.
All kinds of emotion right now.
Just all philosophical type talk.
Yeah.
All right. Well, just to have one more segment before we end this week's podcast. What kind of a funny one? I like to call this cars that we will never make.
Oh, you're about to kill a lot of dreams.
So I think that the nice part about this business is that we have a lot of freedom over the cars that we do choose to make, but also the flip side of that is that we also have a lot of freedom in the cars that we won't make. So,
well, let me kind of rephrase this. I don't want to say we won't make these but
we won't. I'm just kidding.
It's just maybe it's more like what we would rather not because if there's a demand for it,
anything could happen.
Yeah.
Well, this particular car, we ain't gonna make.
Well, you have one in mind?
It would be the end of our business. So,
let me also say that everything that's about what we're about to say, the car that we're gonna list off, is just it's our opinion, right?
It's
our opinion.
It's Jordan's. It's really my opinion. So,
and it's not
you guys are
what the view of Jada Toys,
right?
It's just us
at all.
Right.
However, the car, I will say, I think that if it is the view of Jada Toys, it puts us in a pretty good place morally. So, I'll say it. There's this one car that gets sent to us quite frequently from various people. I will never say who they are, but it's really funny to me because I could tell that they don't have any ill will behind it. They just really like this car.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, and it's just funny to me because I'm thinking to myself, like, do you really think it's a good idea for us to make this car? And the car I'm talking about is the Dukes of Hazzard car, sporting the Confederate flag on it.
Right.
I get this in our DMs at least 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And I don't say anything. I kind of laugh because it's like, you really think that's a great idea for us to make?
Yeah.
So I don't think that'll ever happen.
Probably not in today's day and age.
Yeah. It might be a bad idea.
I mean, as a fan of that series when I was younger, I would love to make it.
Yeah.
Right? But realistically, we're not selling to me. I'm not the one buying it and putting it on a shelf in the retail stores. The retailers are the ones that will dictate that one. So if and for the most part, they don't want to like take sides on anything. More and realistically, they probably wouldn't want to pick that up. So that's why we wouldn't want to make it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool car.
It is a cool car.
and I'm a fan of the show.
Definitely.
But that is probably one that we probably wouldn't make.
There's a lot of controversy around that.
Yeah, for sure.
We just don't want to involve ourselves
Yeah.
in it. Okay, so you answered that more from like a company standpoint, though. What about
Like, yeah, personally, really, what car wouldn't you want to make?
Definitely a Prius.
you stole my answer. You stole my answer. That's what I was gonna say.
That's what you get for always forcing Hondas down my throat.
It's not as bad. It could be worse, I suppose. But that would be, personally speaking, that we will never make. I have to say Toyota Prius. I'm sorry. No offense to like a Prius driver if you're a Prius like owner, but there are days where I just can't deal with you guys.
No.
Yeah, I'm a Toyota fan. I've driven Toyotas all my life, and yeah, that's probably I agree with that.
Wow, we got the trifecta going.
Yeah.
Well,
but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It may still be something that we want to do in the future because there are people fixing them up.
Are you
There are
serious?
body kits.
That's what I was gonna say. Maybe tomorrow I wake up and I see Liberty Walk unveil the new kit for the Prius.
I think they already have one.
Oh,
I think.
are you being serious right now?
I think so. I'm
I
not
don't
100%
believe
sure.
you. For all of you out there, see, Mike has this thing as where like he's able to fool us with his tone of voice, and then after the last second, he just busts out laughing in the face. So, are you being serious right now?
I think so. Someone did, and I
okay.
I'm looking.
Whether they did or not, I could wake up tomorrow and I could see like the sickest Toyota Prius I've ever seen, and I could be like, you know what, that's actually pretty cool. Maybe. But until that day happens, I'm standing by my choice.
I wouldn't be caught dead in it.
Liberty
Toyota
Walk
Prius.
Nation Works Prius 50, complete body kit, $3,480.
Are you serious? Okay, I gotta find some clips of that and put it in here, just to show people.
I mean, I guess, but I also think about it now. So that's the personal. But then, come on, man, don't be bashing me for it because, like, now if I'm thinking about it from a company perspective,
It's a popular car. There's a lot of people buying that car.
So would we put it in our
Okay, would
hyperchargers
it-
line
yeah,
too?
go-
Yeah. I mean,
does it match our
If-
company profile?
not necessarily.
Right.
Liberty Walk version, maybe.
All right, you got me there. I don't know. I have a hard time, just honestly speaking, I have a hard time seeing that happen. I would see a Tesla or an i8 happening before a Prius happens for us as a company.
Just have to make sure we have that sticker that allows you to drive in the carpool lane with one person.
I hate seeing those stickers so much. It's like,
Because of jealousy?
yeah,
Or the cool factor.
I mean, the fact that you have to put them all over your car on every side
Is
of
it
the
all
car.
over? I thought it was just
I mean,
like one.
I don't know. Whenever I see
I'm not
a
a
car
electric or
that has it, they have it on the
hybrid
back, on the sides, on the front. They have it all over. I'm not sure if they're just going crazy, but
and it couldn't be a more obnoxious looking sticker. I mean, like at least have it in some colors that could match
Yeah.
your actual car.
yeah. Kind of like that, what people are calling JDM sticker, which is actually not really it is JDM, but it just shows that, that upside down triangle with the yellow and green.
Yeah.
People think that's JDM, but it's actually shows that you're a beginner driver in Japan. Like you're just learning.
That kind of sounds like
Joke's on you.
that kind of sounds
I think
like
that's what it is. I mean, I think I could be wrong, but I think if I remember
It's
correctly,
just what
that's what that
JDM has
means.
become associated
Yeah.
with,
Yeah.
I think. And that's just kind of become like the face of JDM, I think.
Yeah, I guess so.
When people
See
think
that.
of, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, but to them over there, well, you're just a newbie.
Yeah,
That's funny.
basically.
That's funny.
So we're all out here putting these stickers on our cars thinking we look cool, and they're over there laughing at us
You're
thinking
like,
we're
oh, look at this
noobs.
new beginner driver in this race car looking thing.
It's kind of like those people who like they'll go and get a Chinese character tattoo.
Yeah.
Have no idea what
It
it
says fried
says.
rice.
And they're trying to be all deep about it. It means passion. Like, nah, it means
Passion
fried rice.
fruit boba iced tea. That's what it says.
And you know what? I think that is a good spot to end it for this week's episode, guys. So for all you out there, just so that you know, we are streaming on every single podcast platform that you could think of, Apple, Spotify. So be sure to download us, subscribe to our YouTube page, and anything else, guys?
Next week we might be filming in a new location.
Oh yeah, pretty cool.
Possibly.
Well, I mean, there's two options next week.
I don't think the main one that you're thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking the other option
Yeah.
because we're not going to be in our HQ next week.
Yeah.
So we may have to film.
We got multiple HQs, by the way.
We do.
Because
But main HQ is here. Yeah. But we may be in a different location next week. to
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we are working on a very permanent setup that I think is very exciting
Yeah.
to have a dedicated space for it to where we can really just have a lot more fun with this whole thing.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. Well, all right, guys. So that's it. I'm Jordan,
I'm Mike.
I'm Daryl.
and
Jordan.
we will see you. Shut up, Daryl. And we will see you next week. Peace out. I'm leaving that in there.
That's cool.